You know, every now and then, you come across an idea in physics so big, it feels like you're standing at a profound intellectual crossroads. We're facing a choice that pits our most basic, gut-level understanding of reality against our deepest, most ambitious theory of the entire universe.
So let's get right to it. Here's the core question. Are we really being forced to choose between the familiar chain of cause and effect and our grand quest for a theory of quantum gravity? It honestly sounds like something out of science fiction, but some really compelling new arguments are suggesting that, yeah, we simply can't have both. The stakes here could not be higher. We are at a fundamental fork in the road of physics, and it seems one of these core concepts, it's just going to have to give way. So let's break down exactly what this choice is all about.
Okay, so let's really dig into this fundamental choice. I mean, these aren't just some abstract philosophical ideas. These are two massive pillars of modern physics. The problem, as some physicists are now arguing, is that only one of them can actually remain standing.
So, here are our two contenders. In one corner, you've got causal order. This is the simple, super intuitive idea that we live by every single day. A cause always comes before its effect. You flip a switch, then the light comes on. But in the other corner, you have quantum gravity. This is kind of the holy grail of physics, the theory that would finally unite Einstein's universe of gravity with the absolutely bizarre rules of the quantum world. The dilemma? Well, at that quantum level, time and space can get so jumbled up that a clear before and after might not even exist.
All right, so let's explore the first argument, which is the case for quantum gravity. Now, this view comes from what some people call the sociology of physics, which is really just a way of saying, this is what the scientific consensus is pushing for. This is the direction the whole community is headed.
The argument here is incredibly direct. It's basically saying, if you trust the consensus, if you trust the decades and decades of work that have been pointing in this direction, then you have to accept that a theory of quantum gravity is not just possible, but inevitable. And if that's true, well, the unavoidable consequence is that our deeply held idea of causal order has got to go.
Think about what that really means for a second. If this viewpoint is correct, our everyday experience of cause and effect isn't fundamental at all. It's an illusion. It's something that just kind of emerges at our scale, but at the deepest, most fundamental level of reality, it's just not there.
But hold on. Let's look at the other side of this argument, the case for causal order. Now, this view isn't grounded in some high-level theory. Nope, it's grounded in our direct, undeniable, moment-to-moment experience of the world.
This counterargument is all about our perception. It's basically saying, look, I experience cause and effect constantly. It's the most real thing I know. I drop a cup, it smashes on the floor. Cause, effect. Therefore, if I have to choose between that reality and some theory I can't see, it's got to be quantum gravity that's the unachievable dream.
And if you follow this logic, the implication is just as profound. If our human-centric view of causality is the fundamental truth, then the entire quest for quantum gravity is, well, it's doomed from the start. We're never going to find it, because it directly conflicts with a principle that, from our perspective, simply cannot be broken.
Okay, so we've got these two powerful, opposing ideas. But now, this is where the entire debate just gets turned completely on its head. We've looked at what the scientists think, and we've looked at our own human experience. But what if there's a third option? What if we could ask nature itself?
This third perspective suggests that, from the universe's point of view, from its own internal machinery, so to speak, the whole act of separating things out, this object from that object, this cause from that effect, that's a human habit. Nature, at its very core, might have no need to make those kinds of distinctions. It's all just one interconnected system.
And here it is, the punchline. If nature doesn't bother distinguishing between objects or events, then our entire agonizing argument about whether causal order or quantum gravity is the true concept, it becomes completely meaningless. The choice itself is the illusion.
So what does this all mean? Well, it suggests that this huge debate we're having is a product of our own limited human viewpoint. Because our minds are just wired to see cause and effect, any search for a theory that breaks that rule, like quantum gravity, is probably destined to fail for us. But the biggest, most mind-blowing takeaway is that, from nature's perspective, both of these giant concepts are just tools we invented. They are, to put it bluntly, irrelevant.
All right, let's pull all of this together and take a final look at the landscape. It really is a summary of three completely clashing realities that we've just explored.
So here's the trilemma, laid out nice and clear. You've got the physics community, and they're betting that quantum gravity is real and our sense of causality is the illusion.
Then you have our everyday human experience, which screams that the exact opposite must be true. And then you have this wild third option, nature's view, which just looks at our entire debate and says, what are you guys even talking about? That's irrelevant.
At the end of the day, this leads to a pretty stunning conclusion. This epic battle between two pillars of physics, it might not be a feature of the universe at all. It could very well be a purely human problem. A conflict born from our own mind's deep-seated need to separate, to label, and to create order where just maybe none exists.
And that leaves us with one final and I think pretty powerful question to chew on. If a concept as fundamental as cause and effect is potentially just a human construct, just a story we tell ourselves, what else is? What other bedrock truths of our reality are, when you really get down to it, just a matter of perspective?